Mount Riley is a single track trail west of El Paso, Texas. What's nice about this trail is that it's a good change of pace from the usual deep sand that we have to deal with closer to the city. But I mean, it is quite challenging. So far we've escaped without any major injuries. We have a sprained knee, I think, here in front. It's got a variety of terrain. Most of it is rocky single track like this, but there's some steep loose climbs. There's a sand dune section that we're gonna come upon here in a little bit, but it is a bit of a drive. You have to either tow your bike out here for about 30 miles west of the city, or ride out. You do see some larger wildlife out here too. I've seen some wild boars, and I had only ridden this trail on my CRF. Whoa. On my CRF 250F. This is the first time I bring the WR out here. And the WR, you know, after I finally set everything up, it's really become an awesome do-everything off-road, dual sport, enduro monster. I love it. Yeah, except talking makes me lose focus. But it took me a while to get the suspension where I liked it. It always felt harsh in rocks, too stiff. The valving and the spring rate, everything felt too harsh. Turns out it was the old original tires that were on here. Harder compound sand tires, and probably the original tires that had gotten stiff over time. So I put on some Michelin Starcross 5 tires on here, and it's been great. These tires absorb all the small rocks and bumps like if they're not there. So it was funny, I was thinking of spending thousands of dollars or over $1,000 on suspension work and revalving, and all it was the tires. And Jimmy Lewis from Dirt Bike Test is the one that suggested those tires, and that might be my issue. He's got a great podcast on Tuesdays. Whoa. And I posed a question to him. I said, hey, my WR250F 2019 suspension feels like crap in rocks. He said, you're going to be moderately impressed with what tires can do. And sure enough, I was even thinking about selling the bike, you know, because my 230F with upgraded XR suspension was doing much better in this kind of terrain. Oh yeah, this is the trickiest climb. It's almost vertical there. This is definitely the toughest one. Nice. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, that was the hardest one for sure of these little arroyo crossings. I was worried about that one. They're hard on the way out, but coming back it's even worse, because the difficult element, you got to catch it uphill as opposed to just downhill, letting the bike roll. So yeah, this WR is great. I mean, I did buy it already uncorked, in the sense that it had the GYTR ECU on it, which is the same that's on the FX. But the dealer wouldn't give me the tuner, which was part of what the original owner gave him, but he was going to use it for work in the shop, you know, offering tuning to other Yamaha owners. So anyway, I bought a used one on eBay, pretty much the price of the retail price of a new one, because they were so scarce, and 6 months or more of delay to get one, you know, because of the chip shortage, etc. So initially the bike also felt too snappy, too responsive. Like, it was exhausting to ride in technical stuff, because any blip of the throttle I would just get a lurch forward. So with the GYTR tuner I was able to mellow that out, and now it just feels great. I mean, there's almost no situation, or probably no situation now, where I would prefer to have the 230F, whereas before there was a lot of trails that I preferred it on. Anything really slow, technical, rocky. And then of course, yeah, the snorkel was removed by the previous owner, the intake snorkel. The exhaust is an FMF exhaust, which you know, I always wear earplugs, so I don't think it's too loud, but other riders that ride with me say they can definitely hear me coming. But off-road, well, it's not really that much of an issue. So yeah, engine is great once I got it tuned right. You know, no stalling. It's really awesome. It's very difficult to stall it. It feels very tractory, but still a nice, you know, high RPM power rush also. I've had it up to like 85 miles an hour, I think. And that's like GPS confirmed, so it's got great top end. The six-speed transmission has a very nice wide ratio. First gear is really nice crawler gear for really technical stuff. And sixth gear lets you do high-speed highway or open desert very nicely. The weight, it's a little bit heavier than like a two-stroke ATM, but it feels very centralized, very manageable. I mean, I can deadlift the rear end to get it over a rock if I have to, or hop the front around. And I'm not a very big, strong guy, but yeah, it's very low stress. The suspension, you know, once I got the right tires on here, it's good for choppy rocks, but it has great bottoming resistance. Like, even when I think the suspension has technically bottomed, it's not harsh at all. Like, I don't know what they do at the end there, but it's a very soft bottoming if it does ever happen. Well, the clutch is actually similar stiffness to my 230F, so it's not a very stiff clutch. It's definitely easier to modulate than on a 450. So I really don't see why I would ever need a 450. I mean, these Performance Enduro 250 4 strokes, you know, it's got like 38 horsepower or so, something like that with the ECU, and it's more than enough for anything that you could think of. I mean, super steep, loose, sandy, you know, sand dunes or hill climbs, you just keep your momentum, keep the revs up, and it's got enough grunt to get you up anything. And if anything, on some of the trickier climbs, it's easier than a 450 because the torque is more manageable, so you can maintain traction easier. This is that one sandy section we run into on this trail here. So what haven't I covered? Oh, the brakes. So the front brake is quite strong. I mean, stronger than my 230. So I have tucked the front end using too much brake a few times, but that's really my fault. I mean, it's a one finger brake. You really don't want to have more than one finger on the front brake. It's easy. It's okay. It's easy to modulate, but you know, there've been kind of panic situations where I grab too much. The rear brake felt very much like an on-off switch initially, but that's because the pedal was in the wrong spot. It was too high, so I think I was putting too much pressure on it, either sitting or standing. Easy to lock up, but after I adjusted the pedal to be even with the foot peg, it's very easy to modulate the rear brake. Is you know, but it is still a little bit more on-off than I think is ideal. Brakes, suspension, tires. What else have I covered? Oh, the seat. The seat is a stiff, hard seat, but you do spend a lot of time standing up or taking weight off of the seat in off-road situations, so it's not too bad. And the ergonomics on it are nice to stand on, so even like on fast fire roads you can just stand to rest for a while. And I'm about, I don't know, somewhere between 5'11" and 6 feet tall, so you can get an idea of the ergonomic package. Yeah, foot pegs feel in a great position. And I'm glad this guy in front of me injured his knee, because otherwise he'd be leaving me even further behind. Whoa, whoa! I didn't see that rut. Try to be quiet. Try to catch up to him a little bit. I can see the two-stroke smoke now. I'm getting close. This is all second gear. I come to a stop and just blip the throttle. I mean, I blip the clutch a little bit, and I can get out of steep, loose, tricky stuff with still in second gear. I don't need to drop into first. It doesn't stall. It's got good tractor power. It's just a great bike. This is definitely a keeper. But it took me a while to figure out what was going on with the suspension and tires as far as rough, rocky stuff. Glad I didn't give up on it though, because it's awesome now. You know, a lot of times I don't believe when people are saying, oh, you got to do this, this, and this to get the bike to work right. And I'm thinking, doesn't the original manufacturer know what they're doing? And they do, but a lot of times it's about meeting noise or emission standards, and they know people are going to uncork it. They actually give you the tools to uncork it, the ECU, you know, they're very open about there being a throttle stop and a snorkel that's very obvious on the intake, so you know you got to take those things out. And I've only been dirt biking for about 2.5 years, but I was a mountain biker before that, so I have some sense about how to manage traction and stuff in off-road situations. So it was a smaller learning curve, I guess, for me to be able to ride a dirt bike in moderately technical terrain, but the Yamaha suspension, engine, chassis really makes things easier. Still don't stand up as much as I should sometimes, but you know, I feel like I get less tired on long rides if I don't stand up so much. Stress my knees less. But yeah, the seat is definitely hard. It's not, there's seat concept seats, obviously options for this bike that I would recommend if you're doing more dual sporty stuff with it. And I still might get one of those eventually. The oil change intervals are also a little bit less frequent than on some of the performance bikes, but with the ECU you kind of make it an FX, so probably should still be looking at 300 to 600 mile oil changes. The manual calls for 1,000 mile, but that might be for a stock WR, which I don't know who would possibly want to leave their WR stock given how corked it is. It's always more interesting to record somebody as opposed to just recording myself. See there, third gear almost came to a stop and still good.